inside of technology, we're incentivized to turn on money-making machines, right? That's the incentive inside of tech. Versus maybe your indigenous culture in New Zealand might be incentivized by something else that might look a little bit more like wisdom, or you mentioned living systems, and symbiosis is a really the waste of one organism in the ecosystems, the food of another. We don't live like that as human beings. We just take, and then our waste is toxic. Tell me about how can we start to look for technologies that are both innovative, and maybe they make money. I'm not saying capitalism has to go, but have more of an impact on each other and the world. Where does that come from? Where do we look to find that?
So a couple of things. I mentioned it earlier, language.
Yeah.
But if first of all, if I asked you what you meant by innovation, I made a very different description of that. And those descriptions of those words and our relationship with those words are based on our experiences. Mm-hmm. And so they're very much based on our location, our experience, our knowledge, our wisdom. But actually the words translate across many boundaries. And so I think that what we need to do is really start to really look at what we mean by particular things. So what do we mean by technology, and recognize that it's also not binary. It's all of these things are fluid. But the other thing that we need to do, and this probably comes first, is that we need to create new hierarchies of needs. So, we look at people tend to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but through the research that we've done, we've realized, and there's photos of him, that Maslow actually took those hierarchy of needs from the Blackfoot Nations peoples and flipped them on their head and put self-actualization, this I at the top. Whereas when you start to look at indigenous cultures, what they have as a base is that there needs to be, it's everybody's responsibility to make sure that the planet is safe. Because without that, we would not have, access to food or anything else like that. And so it becomes less, the base level is a we rather than I. And so I think once we start to create new hierarchies of needs, we then have a different approach and a different relationship with ourselves, with the planet, with money, with everything, because then we realize that, to your point, everything is connected. One of my peers on one of the programs I was on recently said that nature creates no waste. And so if nature creates no waste, why can't our economic money systems replicate that it's not just being filtered off to the 1% of the 1%, but actually what we're doing, Marcus and I, is we're looking at where are some of these systems that are constantly flowing. So I'm quite fascinated by looking at water conservation, how nature makes sure that water continually flows. And if we look at those models, why can't we use that as a business model?
The Boldly Now Show, igniting the world of burning desire, big ideas, and bold action.